that Arquette got. And not a lot of people know this.
I read for it too.
Did you read for it as well?
Yeah,
Isn't that funny, bro?
Yeah.
So the original title for Scream was Scary Movie.
Yep.
So just so you know.
Yep. And Scary Movie's original title was Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
That was on all of our chairs and everything.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yep. They didn't name it Scary Movie until later, until after we shot it.
I forgot about that. Shit.
I think Weinstein was like, hey, call it Scary Movie because we didn't
That's
use that
way
for Scream.
too long, that title. It won't fit on any marquees.
Well, it worked for them on Don't Drink Your Juice.
So like I said, we just threw this together so you guys do whatever you want. I can come up with questions if people want that, but it's mainly this is kind of a last minute thing, and we're just lucky to have you guys here. And
I just want to hear Diedrich tell stories about his whole fucking career.
no doubt.
I'm fine with that.
Voice actor, Office Space, Napoleon Dynamite, just some amazing stuff out there.
Yeah, that's very sweet of you.
So much.
I have a funny story about Lawrence if you want to hear it. So I got the audition for Office Space when I was doing the Drew Carey Show, and I had just seen Bottle Rocket. Have you ever seen Bottle Rocket? Wes Anderson's first picture? Yeah, it's great. But anyway, when I first read Lawrence, I was like, this is like an upper middle class Austin kid who decided to work in construction instead of following he just like got rid of the shackles of like this middle class idea of like have to make a living, have to work in an office, have to go to college. He wants to work with his hands. So I was like, because I was so inspired by seeing Owen Wilson, and I thought I'm going to do an Owen Wilson impression. Basically, I'm going to be Owen Wilson as Lawrence, because that's who Lawrence is. Like he's that guy, because he gives like really good advice, and also has his shit together. And so anyway, like 2 weeks before, I'm working on my Owen Wilson impression, basically. And get in the room, sign in, sit down. Owen Wilson walks out of the room. And I think, I can't do a better Owen Wilson than Owen Wilson. Like, I went up to the little thing. I never look at the name, whoever, because otherwise I cast everybody, because you have to sign in, right, and then you sit down. You don't do this anymore.
So this is your audition?
This is my audition.
Oh, I thought when you got the part you were going
No. I just got the audition.
So he walked out of the audition?
He walked out, right. And I was like, oh my God. So I looked to see if he was reading for Lawrence. Sure enough, he was. So I was like, oh God, damn, 2 weeks of work. And the casting director comes out and goes, Diedrich, you ready? And I go, well, I know the lines. And she was like, okay. So in the threshold of the room, I was like, because I had to come up with a character really fast. I came up with Lawrence at that second. And the insight that I had, because I'm from Virginia, was there's a particular type in the South. It's like the brilliant redneck, which is a guy that, sounds like a ding-dong-ding-dang guy, but is actually really, really smart and gives you genuinely great advice. And you kind of want to write him off because he sounds so country, but then you're like, oh, that's actually right. And that's when I came up with Lawrence, just in that threshold. And I sat down, and the first take was ruined by Mike because he laughed through the entire thing. And so I thought, I'm close on this. And then they offered it to Johnny Depp. So I was like, I'm not gonna get it. But then he passed. And then Billy Bob Thornton said he could do it. But he wanted $5 million.
Diedrich, I'll do it for 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think the budget was $5 million, like the picture. So so they could pay him, but then not shoot anything. So that's what it was. So that's my Lawrence story. But you've been in fucking everything. We watched every episode of what's that show with Archie in it? Riverdale. Yeah, you were great in it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you turned and you were the killer and everything.
Became the Black Hood.
Yeah, you were the Black Hood. Yeah.
I thought
Amazing came this and it's so
he was
funny.
okay in it.
I gotta tell you honestly, when like I've been a fan of Diedrich for a long time, and I swear to God, that is the first time we've met. And whenever it's funny in our jobs, like whenever you admire another actor, they come up to you, like say if you see them in a restaurant or a function, and they go, "Dude, I loved your show." Like I can't believe that he actually watched Riverdale and that he actually liked it, because I did the show Peacemaker, right? And
I watched that too.
Right, and so James Gunn, and that was amazing for me because I love James Gunn. James Gunn came up to me and started fanboying about Riverdale. I honestly couldn't believe it. I was
I
just
didn't see
like,
that coming. That's interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always forget that I also do TV shows and movies for a living, because I forget about it when I meet people that I've admired in movies and TV shows forever. So that's kind of a weird professional thing, because we're all just human beings, but
Yeah.
that's kind of how it is,
I was super excited to meet Warwick Davis. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, go for it.
Warwick Davis yesterday. And because I just think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
We used to do this thing called Leprechaun Lockdown, where we would watch all of them, like one after the other, with just a tremendous amount of weed, and it was just great. It was a great day, and we did it every year.
That's great.
Yeah, so I didn't tell him that story, but I did love Harry Potter, and he's on this quiz show called Would I Lie to You? Have you ever seen that? It's a British, it's really funny, and he's great at it, very self-deprecating. Anyway, so I came up and I was fanboying on him. He had no idea who I was. And I was like, I'm an actor too, and nothing like your storied career or whatever. But I was a little upset that he didn't know me at all. And then, just then, it was like I paid her. A girl comes up and she's like, I love American Housewife so much, and she's crying, and I just want to meet you. And I'm like, it's okay. What can you do? But anyway, yeah, I told my wife about it last night. She laughed really hard. It was like, the timing was so perfect. Right? Yeah. But you're right, you get to meet a bunch of people and you're like, oh my God. Yeah.
I just had the same thing happen to me with Michael Winslow, except that he called security on me. No, I still think he doesn't realize that I'm also. I was like, no, I'm signing right around the corner, and he was like, oh yeah, sure, buddy.
Sure you are.
I was like, I beatbox too. Like maybe we could do a video of us beatboxing. He was like, I don't do videos. And I was like, okay.
I don't know if you guys remember too, like John's done tons of movies and stuff, but you know that he was also the DJ on the Ellen DeGeneres show for a while? Did you guys know that?
That's true. I was season 4.
Yeah.
DJ Johnny.
Yeah. Johnny.
It's been scrubbed, so you can't see it anywhere. Sorry.
Yeah.
Literally, it's been scrubbed. You can't see it anywhere.
Hey, John, tell the because I love like hearing stories about you walking out like Owen Wilson.
Yeah,
walks
yeah,
out. You're like,
that's right.
oh fuck, I guess he probably did it better than I'm gonna do it, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But tell the story about when the kid dropped out of the movie and you went and met with De Niro in your hood.
Oh, okay.
This is a good story.
Because you introduced me to the kid. So, all right, I'm in a movie called Meet the Parents. How many people have seen Meet the Parents? Yes, we love Meet the Parents. And I'm from Tribeca, New York, which not a lot of people my age are from, or were back in the day. Now there's probably a lot of babies there, but not many kids there when I was growing up. It was kind of desolate. And I grew up across the street from Robert De Niro. And when you are going to be in a Robert De Niro movie, he's the final boss. You got to go through everybody else, and then you got to meet with Bob. And what happened was somebody else had been cast in the film, and they wanted to replace that person. And so I went in, and
It was me.
Sorry, DJ. I know it's a sore spot. He was Canadian, but it wasn't Lochlyn.
No.
And I didn't know who it was. They didn't tell me. Obviously, that would be rude.
Did you shoot in Canada?
No, we shot the whole thing in New
It didn't
York.
feel like that,
Actually,
yeah.
we shot in Long Island and in the Williamsburg Armory
Wow.
is where we built all the interiors.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was the stage. Yeah. So I had to go meet Bob, and they were like, "Oh, why don't you go meet him at this restaurant? Do you know it?" And it happens to be the restaurant that I worked in when I was like 14 in Tribeca. So I walk in and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and he's pretty late, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care. It's Bob, you know. And he comes in, and he was sort of more nervous than I was, which gave me the upper hand. And I kind of, consoled him, and then we went for a walk, and I got on the subway, and I went back home, and by the time I got off the subway, they had called and been like, yeah, no, you're in,
Cool.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I always wondered who was the person that I replaced.
Yeah.
And Lochlyn and I were doing a con last year, and he was like, hey, I want to introduce you to someone, and the guy was like, you replaced me and meet the parents. I just did not know what to say. I was like, I'm so sorry.
And he'd already done wardrobe and everything, right? Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, he had done the whole kit and caboodle. And
Did he start shooting?
no, they
Was
did
it like an Eric Stoltz situation?
Yeah.
No, they did a read-through. And
Reader was disastrous.
he didn't end up in the circle of trust. Let's just put it that way. And I guess they booted him after that.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz was going to be.
This happens to actors all the time.
Yes.
They think if they get to the table read that they have the job. That's another audition.
No. Yep.
And if you suck at the table read, you're fired.
Yep.
We did that all the time on the Drew Carey Show.
Yeah,
like
of
if you didn't have your A game at the table, you were gone.
The table
And
read
I wish
is the
that somebody
callback.
had told the actors that that's what was happening, but I couldn't, as an actor, tell them that. Like, good luck, or like,
Yeah.
because you could be fired at the end of this table.
Totally.
But a lot of people don't know that.
No.
Yeah, you think you have it, like, oh, it's great, I'm going to be working Bob McNair. You relax and you're like, ah, fuck it, I'm just going to read.
No, I mean,
no, you're fired. You're fired.
I remember I showed up to set and I immediately was swarmed by like all the Universal executives, and they were all doing, oh yeah, sorry to touch you. And I sterilized my hands before. I just came from the urinal. Sorry. But they were all.
But he's left-handed.
They're literally like poking and prodding me, and I don't know what to do. I'm just standing there like, oh, okay, why? And then luckily Ben Stiller came over and literally was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Get away from him.
Really?
Leave him alone. Yeah, he was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And they were all like, oh, sorry, and like melted into the background. You know?
Scurry away.
Yeah. They were like, open your mouth, let us see your teeth. Oh, okay, and this and that. You know, I was like, okay. But yeah, I mean, to further what you said, it's, there's a saying, never believe it till you walk on the set.
Yeah.
I say never believe it till you see it on the screen, because quite often, and it happens to all of us, you can end up shooting a whole movie and they cut you out, you know?
I was in Dracula,
Really?
but not on the screen.
Dracula Dead and Loving It?
No. Dracula with, Keanu and Winona.
Really?
Yeah.
You were in the
I was
Coppola
in
Dracula?
the Coppola Dracula.
No way.
Yeah, I got there. I think I was cast because I genuinely thought I was German. He was played like a German student in his first scene. And I talked to Anthony Hopkins when I met him. He spoke to me with a German accent, so I was like, I started speaking to him with a German accent. Like, come on, act us, just us to go, yeah, we went. It was all day because you shot big pictures too.
Sure.
It's like you do on a television show like American Housewife, for example, which I was on.
Great show.
You do like 8 or 10 pages, but in a movie you do like you could do a day. I mean, you could do 1 page. You could do 2 pages. Is a lot for them. Sometimes you just do half a page.
Yeah.
So you just shoot like over and over and over again. And Anthony Hopkins, I'll tell if sorry I didn't tell the story. So I was cast. And I sat next to him, which was great, and we had this talk where we were both under German accents. And then he asked me where I was from, and I said I'm from Virginia, but in my real accent. He didn't speak to me again.
No.
Apparently he was like upset that I spoke to him, like I was deceiving him, but I was like, well, you started it,
You're
kind
right.
of. Yeah. So then we got on set anyway, and I did my line, went fine, I thought. And he had this bit where the telegram comes, and he opens it up, and it's the telegram, and then you cut to him going to London, basically. It's like, will you come to London as the telegram. Insert, and then, they're on the boat. But there was an extra who would hand him the telegram, but the prop guy put too much wax on the telegram, so he couldn't open it.
Oh no.
So he goes, what is this? To the extra, and the extra is like, it's a telegram. He goes, a telegram. Opens it up like that. Coppola comes out, and he goes, I love that. You're a man of science. A telegram is a new technology, and that you're just accepting that this is happening now. And Anthony Hopkins goes, yes, that's what I was thinking. Yes. And then so the next time the guy comes in, and I did my line, by the way. Nobody's remembered it, but did my line, and he goes to the guy. He doesn't even try it. He goes, what is this? And the guy goes, it's a telegram. He's ready now. He still looks out to the cameras for some reason, but he goes, it's a telegram. And so he opens up and he goes, telegram. Like that, and reads it like the telegram. It's funny too. And then we do because we only have a half a page, we did like 80 takes. And Anthony Hopkins is a total ham. He got bigger and bigger and bigger after every take until he was finally like, the guy would come in and he'd go, "Was ist das?" like that. And the guy would go, "A telegram." And they would hold it up and show it to all of us like, "A telegram." And we didn't clap, but we rapped on our desks. Like that's what kids in Amsterdam do in their school. No, I don't know who started that, but anyway, we're all like rapping on the thing. And he goes, "Telegram," like that. Like that's just wild. Opens up and goes, reads it. Anyway, Coppola comes back out and he goes, "Anthony, don't do the telegram bit, okay? Just open the telegram." He turns to the next train and he goes, "Say nothing, nothing."
And is that what ended up in the movie?
No, he
got
didn't.
cut out.
No, it got
Oh,
cut out.
that-
He opens it.
that got
Yeah,
cut.
no.
Oh.
He opens the telegram. You have to because it has the insert and then it gets on the book.
Man, I would love to see those outtakes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but my one line was, what is it? "Oh, but Dr. Van Helsing, what is your theory?" That's it. That was my whole line. They didn't tell me I was cut out. I went with my girlfriend to the premiere. It was nice of them. We went out to dinner before. It was great. I was like, my palms were clammy before. I was like, "Here it comes."
Yeah.
Here it comes. Okay, that's it. That was it. So that was great. Yeah.
Damn.
I have the similar story. I did the movie Tomorrowland, I thought.
Yeah.
I did it, and I thought I did a really good job.
Yeah.
Who's married to Faith Hill, the country singer? Tim McGraw. I played Tim McGraw's brother. Right? So 3 days I'm playing Tim McGraw's brother. He's really
3
cool
days,
dude.
solid.
Quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Right? I even did ADR for the movie. I did ADR.
Right.
That's
ADR
pretty-
is
yeah, so
additional dialogue recording for
Right.
anybody who
So if
doesn't
there's
know.
crappy sound recording, you go into a booth and you do it over. And usually you
Later.
know that if you're doing ADR, you're in the cut.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I'm so excited because, as you all know, my kids have never been able to see the movies I've done, and I'm finally in this big Disney Tomorrowland movie, and so I'm on set. No, it wasn't Riverdale because it was way before that. I'm on set, and my kids are going to the movie, and I can't wait for them to call me afterwards and go, "Dad, you're in a Disney movie," and they go, "Yeah, Dad, you're not in the movie."
Oh,
They
man.
didn't tell me. They didn't tell me either. It's the first time I've ever had that happen. I'm like, why didn't they just call me and say, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry I didn't make the cut." I'm fine with that. But don't make me
No,
send
it's
my
an easy call.
family,
Yeah,
bro. Because, one, if you're going to cut me out of the movie, I'm not going to shell out $40 for my family to go see it. You're not going to get me twice. But yeah, so funny. Yeah, so that's just another funny anecdote of what we do for a living. And another quick story is that, our agents and people always say, "Listen, if you didn't get the part, as long as you go in and make an impression." Okay?
Yeah.
So getting back to my James Gunn story.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until I actually talked to him and he reminded me, but James Gunn wrote all the Scooby-Doo movies, right? The live action ones. So I went in to play Shag. Like Zoinks, man, because I can do like the Scoob Boys, And I went in and I thought I did a really good job.
Yeah.
And apparently James, I was shortlisted. And of course, Lillard is the perfect Shag. I mean, there's no doubt. He's tall, gangly. When I read for Peacemaker, I got the part. I read for it on tape. I was shooting in Calgary. I did it in my hotel. I put it on tape for this big James Gunn project. The very next morning, I get an offer, and I'm like, "How the?" I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, you got the part." I go, "There's no way," because usually for bigger projects like these guys, it's like a week, 2 weeks, a month, right?
Easily.
And I'm like, "Why? How did I get this part so quick?" And he goes, "Because James remembered you from when you did your audition for Scooby-Doo. That was 20 fucking years ago." I'm like, "Fuck, James, you've done a lot of work in between that, man." Like Guardians of the Galaxy, I could have probably worn some blue paint in there. Like what the fuck, man? So it really kind of goes to show you in our business, it's like there's a 10-second memory in our job too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you got to stay in people's faces.
Yeah,
But-
that's right.
So that's another funny
That's
kind of
for
story.
For sure. How did you end up in Scary Movie?
I basically went in and read. I read for Keaton.
You just read for
Yeah,
it.
I read for Keenan. I did a bunch of silly shit in the room and
Pulled your pants down.
yeah, stuff like that. Well, yeah, that's exactly how I got the part. He was like, "Oh, we'll just use that for the Polaroid."
Exactly. Who remembers that scene in Scary Movie? Unforgettable, right? So we were filming that, and we're at the fountain, and coincidentally, we shot that at the same high school that they shot Scream at. Yeah, which I only learned recently. And we're sitting by the fountain, and we're getting ready to shoot that part of the scene, and they're passing the Polaroid around, and everyone's going, "Oh my God!" And then I don't know. I think it was Keenan leaned over to me, and he was like, "That's actually somebody who works on this set." And he was like, and I was like, "Who is it?" He was like, "Somebody was like, hey,
It was a crew member.
I got a micro penis. You want to use a picture of it?" And they were like, "Okay, sure." So,
And I have really hairy legs and look good.
yeah. Lochlyn, you seem suspiciously to know exactly what was said. I've always wondered. You might be confirming things for me.
That was actually, honestly, the funnest day of the shoot for me, because when we were all standing around, and then I started beating the shit out of Anna Faris, if you remember, and then I did the final jump in the air and elbow smash. Keenan didn't know I was going to do that. I just thought it'd be funny if I could jump high enough out of the frame and then fall into the frame, and then just a kind of a physically funny looking moment.
So
And I remember Abrams standing around, and he just looks at me and goes, "Greg, you're hurting her." I just thought, what a funny reaction for a boyfriend, right? Like, dude, you're hurting her.
Well, they gave us I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream, and they made us watch them over and over and over again and come up with ideas for our character, which is always wonderful.
Yeah, I love
when the producers and writers and directors of films are that collaborative with you, it's awesome. And they really allow you to design aspects of your character and your performance. And the thing that stuck out to me was Freddie Prinze Jr. in I Know What You Did Last Summer is never really present. He's always spacing out and kind of unaware that someone, he's just always like, stop, don't kill me. And so that's what we wanted to play with there. And it makes me laugh every time, because every time Anna gets in trouble, in the background, you can just hear me stop, don't do that.
And all I did was amp up Ryan Phillippe's anger.
Performance.
I was like, holy smokes, man, you're angry in this movie. I just took it and went with it.
Yeah.
So thanks, Ryan. I really didn't have to do much. Should we do questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, how about
Anyone?
Don't be shy.
Throw
They'll start
it on.
picking on you. Wait, I see some celebrities in the audience.
Come on, Tim. Hit us with a question.
It's John, but I'm feeling a little woozy. I always say that all the time.
Oh, really?
I don't. I say that
Feeling a little woozy.
That's funny.
It's just a funny scene.
Totally.
I'm feeling a little woozy. That's all that line.
Yeah, and I forget what Lillard says in Scream. He says something else, I'm feeling a little something here. And it's weird because technically Sean is Matt Lillard's character in Scary Movie, but they gave it to me. It makes more sense, I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Did
that.
Jason and Aaron write on that too? Jason and Aaron, they're the ones that did Vampires Suck and Meet the Spartans and all that.
No,
It
they
was
might
just
have done the ones 3 and past
Oh,
that.
okay, that's
Yeah,
what I
Wayans
was right.
only did 1 and 2.
Yeah, I thought it was something about
yeah,
that.
because the first two were all just Sean and Mark. And
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
Anyone
Should I
else?
pick on- I'm gonna pick
Are
on-
you guys? No one's gonna ask me about my Blossom episode. So much fun.
How did you get that part? I'm just kidding.
What do you got?
Diedrich,
Yeah.
how did you get involved in Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite was one of the few offers I've gotten in my entire career. I actually couldn't believe it. My agent gave it to me and said, you shouldn't do this, right before I read it. And said they have no money, there's nobody in it, and this director just got out of school, and it's going nowhere. And I was like, I don't get offers, so I'm going to read it anyway. And I got this image in my head. There was this kid I was kind of obsessed with named, wait, are you recording this?
Only the good parts.
Okay. Named John Bartholomew. And he looked like he had the kinky hair, like the curly hair or whatever. And John Bartholomew, like I was obsessed with just watching him because he's just a weird kid. Like, for example, it was just when, I'm super old, when Chapstick came out with like flavors, and he had this cherry flavor chapstick, and we were doing this basketball drill, you know, where there are two lines and somebody does the defense and the other goes up and does the layup. And John Bartholomew was on the, you know, he was supposed to be blocking me or whatever, and I look over and he's got the cherry, and he's like spreading all over his lips, like so ecstatic and so sexy, just spreading on his lips, like, oh, just so great.
Maybe it was an inspiration for the song.
And I can't stop watching it because it's just so weird. I mean, it's just so odd that he's doing this in line with all the other boys around. And I'm just watching him, and then finally he goes, and takes a bite of it. And just as the coach like throws me the ball, I get hit in the gut because the coach knows that I'm not paying attention. And anyway, I got, in the second page, I got John Bartholomew in my head. And I started laughing. And I was laying in bed, and my wife was telling me literally to shut up because I was laughing so hard. It is the funniest script I've ever read. If you guys, I don't know if it's online or anything, but if you get the chance to read that script, it is genuinely funny. The movie is okay, but the script is amazing. And so at the end of it, you know, I closed it, and my wife goes, "You're an idiot if you don't do this." So yeah, I went there, and you know they're supposed to pick me up with a car, and the guy pulled up in the Toyota Corolla with shit in the back. So I sat next to him, and I went, "It's not a bicycle, it is a car." But the set was kind of weird because the guy that owned the dojo like kept glaring at me because I was doing everything wrong, and he just really wanted to show me how to do it right. And I was like, "It's okay. It just has to be funny. Nobody's gonna watch this and go, there's no Rex Kwon Do method. I'm making it up as I go along." But people ask me if I improvise. I've improvised not a single thing in that, and that's rare for me because, like Office Space, for example, about 20% of that is improvised. But every single line, every gesture in that is in the script. That's cool. And mostly because I learned it the night before with a six-pack of tall boys. And so I didn't have it in me to improvise. So I just did it as is. And you know, it was one day in my life. And it's crazy to think that one day in my life, I was on the Drew Carey Show for 9 years. No one ever brings up the Drew Carey Show. But one day in my life, and that will sure enough be in my obituary.
Yeah.
That one day. It's kind of crazy to think. But I was really happy when I saw it. It really held up. I didn't see it for many years. I'm not really good at watching a lot of things, but except Riverdale, just over and over again.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Was the owner of the dojo happy with the final product?
I did not. I did not follow up with that. That's a good question.
You didn't?
No, I didn't. I should have. Well, I knew it was going to be a hit. Like, it was a weird way because I was in a voiceover session and there was a kid that was in the session with me, and he just kept staring at me. And in a break, he goes, "I love Napoleon Dynamite." I was like, "Great." He goes, "Do the line where you," and he said the line, and I was like, "Okay." And then he goes, "Do the line where," and do the line, and then do the line, and do the line, and then I was like, "How many times have you seen this movie?" And he said 7.
Yeah.
And I went, "Oh, holy crap!" So I don't get the trades because it's 2 minutes to read, 2 weeks to recover. But I call my agent and I go, like, "How's Napoleon doing?" And he goes, "It's a fucking hit." Yeah. And that was a surprise because Office Space, if you remember, was a total bomb. My wife and I went opening weekend. I missed the premiere because we were shooting the Drew Carey Show. It was a Tuesday night for some reason. Anyway, we went opening weekend to AMC 14 or whatever, which at that time was the biggest theater. And there were 3 people in the audience. 2 of them were my wife and myself. And that guy left. So we were sitting all alone, and I was watching that, and it honest to God, was one of the most searing experiences of my life because I loved every frame of it. It was a perfect realization of that script, which is also one of the best scripts I've ever read. You know, just walking onto Ron's apartment, that it looked like an actual bachelor's apartment. as opposed to, usually they put like gack all over, like, you know, and they put pizza boxes, and I don't know a single guy who actually lives, well, one guy, but most guys are not that way. But this apartment was so bland. I was like, yeah, that's a dude.
Yeah.
Like, he just had no flavor at all in his life.
None.
But, so I loved every frame of the movie, but I knew, because, you know, if you are in Hollywood, it's fun if you're in a movie that's good, but it's better if it makes money.
Yes.
Because you get other work out of it.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the lens of, no one's gonna see this movie, it's gonna be a bomb, and I'll get nothing out of this. I'll get literally nothing out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that I love it, it's great that I love it, because there's tons of shit that I've done that I don't like. But that one, I was like, yeah, good, it holds up, and I got my laughs from my wife. But you know, but then I didn't see it for 10 years. We got a hint that it was a hit because about 3 years later, my wife and I were driving downtown, and there were two guys in like a pickup truck, all tats all over, next to us, and then like poke at each other and they point to me and they go, "Hey man, what'd you do when you had $1 million?" And I was like, "2 chicks at the same time." And they're like, they fucking love it. They give each other a high five and they're like, "Oh man," and I'm like, "Man." And my wife goes, "Is that Office Space?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think that is Office Space." I just remembered my cue. So I couldn't remember what it was from. So we're driving downtown. I'm like, "Something's happening to Office Space." She goes, "Yeah, what's happening?" And I don't know. Then, like a week later, I get my first real residual check for it, and I'm like, "Holy shit, something is real is happening." But I still didn't watch it. But then we did a 10-year anniversary in Austin. I'm talking too much. We did a 10-year anniversary in Austin. And the whole cast, except for Ron and Jen, came. And the difference between an empty theater and something that was like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I mean, people knew every line, and the laughs crashed over the audience and splashed up against the screen, and it just washed over me, and I was like, I was right. I was right. That's what I got out of that screening.
That's worth more than anything.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's because I thought I'm out of touch with what's funny.
Mm-hmm.
I have a different sense of humor than Americans. What am I doing? I don't get it.
Well, you're German.
Yeah. We go goose stepping together, but yeah. No, it was a lovely experience, that 10-year anniversary. I truly did enjoy it, and it's held up. I mean, you know, the #1 picture that I'm signing today. By the way, I'm signing today. Is at Lawrence. Everybody wants that.
Yeah.
You know, it's
That's
yeah. But it was a total bomb when it came out. It's crazy. Yeah. That's that story.
Cult classics.
Cult classics. Yeah.
I like cult classics. Yeah.
What cult classic? Are you in a cult classic?
A few. Well, we're in a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
For
we've all
me, I
been in a
think-
few.
Yeah.
For me, a movie that is a cult classic that made no money at the box office was Night of the Roxbury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me because we'd go around and do conventions for Riverdale, especially all around the world, Paris, Belgium, Ireland, you name it. And everyone would come up and talk to me about Night of the Roxbury. I think that movie plays once a day somewhere in the world, you know. So that's kind of that's my experience, like yours, Diedrich. Yeah.
My first series was called Danger Theater. I played a character called the Searcher, and I didn't know there were 97 shows on television until I got the ratings. It got canceled so fast it was just unbelievable. I did enjoy it. Adam West was in it. It was really fun to shoot.
Oh yeah.
But they cut it together, unbeknownst to myself, as a movie and showed it in Japan.
No.
Yeah,
That's
and I went to, during the Drew Carey Show, I went to an international distribution party. They kind of like, you're supposed to shake your moneymaker to all these people, whatever. But this Japanese came up to me and was like, "Oh, Searcher-san." Because I guess in Japan it did really well.
You're literally big in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the reference. Yeah.
German,
I
Japan.
caught you when you were setting up.
Very good.
Yeah, amazing. Seriously.
Who's got a question?
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, really don't be shy. We're just shitting.
So, if Rex Kwon-Do was here right now with us, what would he have to say about Crypticon Kansas City?
He'd say, "Bow to your sensei." It's a terrible response.
Would he bring Starla?
Yeah, oh yeah. She was. I couldn't figure out if she was a dude or not. I actually went out to dinner with her, and I'm a real chatterbox, as you probably discovered, and I couldn't think of a single thing to say because I was like, she has an Adam's apple. Look at the size of those biceps, you know. She was really nice though. I'm gonna say she. I'm going with she. Yeah. What ring is that?
This?
Yeah.
This is my grandfather's ring.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's over 100 years old.
Wow, it's really beautiful.
Thank
Is
you very
those
much.
these?
Pass it around,
His
John.
name was Joe.
Jay,
Show and
that's
tell.
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe. I
Pass it around,
appreciate you.
Joey.
He was German as well.
That's right.
Back there, who's got a question? We're talking
Come on,
comedy.
bring it up. Yeah.
We're talking
Kansas City, you can ask any question.
What was your experience like working with the Wayans brothers?
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. I'm from New York City, and I went to junior high school right down the block from where they all grew up. And when I was in junior high school, they had a show called In Living Color, and that was like my show. I loved it, and all my friends loved it. And then they made a movie called I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, which is one of my favorite movies ever. And I actually brought my soundtrack to set and got Keenan to sign it, and he was like, "You're such a nerd." But so then, yeah, to end up working with all of them and for them to be so free and like collaborative was just incredible. And you know, Lochlyn will tell you the same. Like, they still hire us for some reason, and they love us. And
I love that.
you know, we're each one of 4 white guys that they use over and over again. And
White Wayans brothers.
yeah,
That's us.
me, Lochlyn, Dave Sheridan, and Jim Carrey, and that's about runs the gambit. Yeah. So you know, it's just very cyclical when things like that happen. A lot like working with Bob De Niro, because I grew up across the street from him and knew him as like this neighborhood guy, and then you're like working with him, and it's just bizarre. But luckily for me, both of those experiences were great. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it can be the other way around. What about you?
Well, you know, it's funny how human beings meld and mesh, for the fact that I grew up in a small town in Canada. I was the only kid in grade 1. I went to
The only kid in grade 1?
I went to a 2-room school, okay? And it's weird to me because I get on this movie set with this family of entertainers, 9 children in their family who grew up in the Bronx, and they're African American. I don't think I ever met an African American person until I was probably 17.
Wow.
Right? Where I grew up in Canada.
That's crazy.
Right?
Wow.
Just weird. And here, we basically gelled so quick. It was like I was lived across the street from them as well, you know? So just to attest to how we are as human beings is kind of my point there. But for them, exactly like John said, the cool thing about that family, and especially Keenan, because Keenan's intelligence level is off the charts. You know what I mean?
Bananas.
Like, his intelligence level is off the charts. So meaning that when it comes to comedy, like, that's why Robin Williams, all these people, you have to be very intelligent to be that witty and that quick. You really do. And so Keenan set up this safety area for us to collaborate and take risks. You know, he used to always come up to John and I'd say, "There's no vanity in comedy, man.
Yeah.
No vanity in comedy." And I was like, "Yeah, well, you've seen my other comedies, Keenan, right? Obviously, I don't think that." Because there's no one that makes more of an ass on screen than I do, personally. But, so for me, it was so free. Like, a lot of Scary Movie, Diedrich said about Office Space, 20% improv.
Yeah.
Scary Movie, same thing. They always film the Bible, and then they just go, they challenge you to improv.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the best way to shoot. I really like the way to shoot that way. That 'cause I get nervous if the studio isn't going to see the script as is. So I really prefer to shoot it like as is. Get it so they print that the close up and the master and the 2-shot just as is. And then because the thing that takes so long is the setup.
Yeah.
But once they've locked like how the camera's going to be, you get one take.
Yeah.
You know, it takes what, like 30 seconds? It'll take a minute and a half, maybe. You know, that's it. So you can put everything that you've thought of in the time that you've been shooting, and then you just, I mean, like Lawrence, for example, we just stood on the little balcony area, and you know, what is it? The one that made it in there? You know, watch your cornhole, man. Is like the 8th take. He just kept going, and I just tossed out different ones. And it's so fun. Yeah.
Another thing though is that like true comedians like the Wayans family and probably, you know, people that do you know, stand up, don't ever try to pitch them jokes because they don't laugh. They don't laugh. And if they don't laugh, it means they probably like it. And if they laugh, it means they don't. But I had to learn that like the hard way, you know, because I'd be like, oh, how about this? And they'd be like, no.
Yeah,
And then if you do it,
they absorb the funny stuff because they're thinking all the time.
yeah. And if you're hitting, they'll be like the Wayans will be like, that's funny. That's funny. That's funny.
Well,
And you're like,
also, you have to think about the larger palette. That's
Totally.
what, when they're not laughing, they're thinking of how it fits in or if it does.
Exactly.
And that's the great thing about doing the research that you did by watching those movies over and over again.
Yeah.
And one thing I recommend to young actors all the time is to read the script, like the entirety of the script every day.
Yes.
And just go through it. So if you have an improv, it fits in the world. Because otherwise, I did a movie called Revenge of the Nerds. It was like a big...
Never heard of it.
It never came out. They were doing a remake.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Did Kyle, what's his
That's
name,
right,
direct
Kyle.
that? I know
Yeah.
Kyle, yeah.
So Kyle's great.
Yeah.
But the problem was that the kids just improvised. And it didn't fit in the world. And so we would start this improv, and I would go with them, and then at the end of the take, they would look at me, and I would be like, and they go, what? And I go, listen, we didn't shoot it. We didn't shoot the thing.
Yeah.
And the studio, what's on the other side of that camera? And they're like, the cameraman. And I go, the studio's on the other side of that camera. They want to see what they paid for. And they paid for the script that brought us here.
That's right.
And that was the only movie that I've done where the plug got pulled as we were shooting.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because we never got a take.
Yeah, they're all watching dailies going, what script
What
is
script is this?
Yeah.
And generally, when kids especially improvise, they just drop the F-bomb all the time.
Totally.
And it's...
Or ask questions.
Yeah. And it, like, they don't go with it. It doesn't go anywhere. It just dies.
Totally.
And you're like, oh, that's never going to make it in the picture.
Yes.
I mean, and we can laugh right now, but I'm not laughing.
No.
Yeah. but you know, it's just fascinating to me because it didn't fit within, and I knew it was going to go away. And about halfway through, they were like, we're going to go on a hiatus. And I was like, guys, there's no hiatus in movies. There's no hiatus. That was it. We're just going home.
That's it. Wait, I have a question, Lochlyn.
Diedrich needs 2 weeks off, everyone.
I have a question for you.
There we go.
You said you went to a 2-room school?
Yeah.
How many grades?
7.
And what, did they just have people in a corner?
So
What the fuck?
So it was a small room. Right? So one teacher taught grades 1 to 4 in one room, and then another teacher taught grades 5, 6, and 7 in another room.
Wow.
And so instead of being the only kid in grade 2 the next season, I skipped to grade 3.
Not the next season.
So I got to
He
finish
said
school
the next
one
season.
year.
What were you on a television show?
That's how they do it in Canada. Canada, they go by season.
Did you get picked up for senior year?
Pretty crazy, right? Like to think that 2 of those worlds collided and collaborated, right? That's kind of my point. Like 2 opposite ends of a life. Like I worked, 9 black guys growing up in apartments in Bronx, and then this kid who goes to a 2-room school.
Little
I
house on
swear
the
to
prairie.
you, I swear to you, I did walk to school in a snowmobile suit. I'm not kidding you. I am exactly what every American thinks a Canadian is.
Wow. That would be an awkward prom.
It would be an awkward problem. Yeah, who are you going to ask?
God bless you.
Well, no, dude, this is elementary school. Like, this is the outlying area. I went to high school in the town that all those other elementary schools all bust into.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Those were just outlying elementary schools.
So
How big was your high school?
4 rooms in that school.
My high school wasn't all that small because of all those towns that all commuted to
What
go
was
there.
the size of your graduating class?
I think 68.
Mine was 1,200. Yeah. I went to a school called T.C. Williams. Not called that anymore because it was apparently named after an old racist, which I didn't know. It's now called Alexandria City High School. But do you remember the movie Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
So that was my high school.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And it was mostly African American. Yeah. So we have very different. You were like a really nice, sincere person. You
Me? Not so much.
Yeah,
Don't trust me.
Right on my left there.
Yeah, thank you. No. It's Little House on the Prairie.
I know, right?
The Equalizer.
You know what's funny is I would just send an episode of the new Little House on the Prairie
There's
to
a
me
new
while I
Little
was
House
here.
on the Prairie?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
we gotta get you in that shit.
No,
Yeah.
dude, they did.
Fuck, you're the new Michael Landon.
Oh my God, that would be so great.
Diedrich, they have Michael Landon. They sent me a
He's still
part
alive?
to play Charles Ingalls.
Oh, Charles Ingalls.
Right, so they've cast Charles Ingalls.
Yeah.
They want me to play Charles Ingalls' dad in flashbacks.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, do it. 100%. That's
awesome.
a good
Everyone here right now is going, what the fuck?
Everybody needs to leave here and campaign online for Lochlyn to
Oh
play.
yeah, 100%.
Let
That
Dexter
would be
play
amazing.
Grandpa Landon.
Yeah.
There's only one problem. It shoots in Winnipeg, DJ.
Oh, Winnipeg.
I don't know what that
Anyone
means.
ever
I'm
been
from
to
New York
Winnipeg,
City, but-
Canada? Wow.
Yeah.
Cold, right?
Cold, yes.
Bob, I just saw Bob Odenkirk a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
And he shot 2 movies in a row in Winnipeg. I was like, what was that like? He goes, that was just one response.
Hey, listen, I'm Canadian and I can say that is the shithole. And I love everyone. You know, the Winnipeg people are awesome, but man, to live there, holy shit.
Yeah. Bob and I met doing what was it called? Lucky Hank in Vancouver. That's the greatest. You probably shot there too, right?
Yeah, but that's where we shot Scary Movie.
You
That's
shot
where I'm
Scary
from,
Movie in
Diedrich. I'm from Vancouver.
Oh,
In Victoria.
God. Oh my God, is that a beautiful place to
Oh,
shoot?
wonderful place.
Oh, that's my favorite location.
I lived there in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Where did you? Where were you?
They used to shoot everything
Yeah,
there, and
yeah,
I just
yeah.
would be there all the
Were
time.
you on 21
You
Jump
shot
Street?
Riverdale there? I
was
did
too
21
young,
Jump
too young,
Street.
just a little too young.
That was my first show, bro.
I did 21 Jump
You
Street
did
too.
what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good night.
I remember my very first job was 21 Jump Street. I was standing on set looking around thinking, I can't believe I'm getting paid as an actor.
Was it Depp or Grico?
This is Deb.
Did you walk to set in your snowmobile suit?
No, that was in Vancouver. and a guy taps me on the shoulder and says, hey bro, I'm going to grab a Coke from craft service. Can I get you anything? And I go, no man, I'm good. He goes, oh hey, I'm Johnny. I went, oh hey Johnny, I'm Lochlyn. You know, trying to be cool. And he walks away from me and I'm like, fuck, I don't know who that is, but he looks like a movie star.
I did.
And that's a
here
true
we
story.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end it.
All
Right?
right.
Yeah. You guys rock.
Yes.
Yes, thanks, guys.
We're still signing, by the way, all 3 of us.
Yeah, come see us at our tables and we'll tell you lots more stories.
John and Diedrich are over here. I'm in this really nice air-conditioned room in the back.
How did that happen?
You guys should come hang out by my table. It's really comfy.
Yeah, this panel actually ended 20 minutes ago, but
It did?
not one ended.
Talk through it.
Yeah.